From BLC Studios in Mankato, Minnesota, this is the Bethany Vikings podcast, hosted by Brock Aaker.
Welcome to a special Bethany Vikings podcast episode. We're having 2 episodes this week. That's because it's NFL draft week. Today I'm joined by Lucas and Josh, and we're going to be doing Predict the Pick mock draft. So first, let's meet the guests. Lucas and Josh, we'll start with you. Lucas, how are you doing, and who are you? Explain to the viewers.
Thanks, Brock, for having me. My name is Lucas Dorton. I went to Bethany. I graduated last year around the springtime. I'm a huge sports fan. The NFL draft is one of my favorite times of the year, and also do a podcast as well, too, called the Dorton and Duckett Debate Podcast, so definitely check that out as well. Just want to throw that in there. But, so that's who I am.
How about you, Josh? You have a nice little background with the green screen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Brock, Lucas. Nice to see you guys. One of the things I do on campus, I'm one of the editors for the Bethany Scroll. My own things, on Twitter, I'm at Josh_Ray_A. I have like a sports blog thingy where I like kind of post articles. Depends. It's been a while, because, school and stuff, but I'm going to get back into it, and I'm ready to go and draft some players.
All right, yeah. Myself, I'm Brock. I'm the normal host of the Bethany Vikings podcast. I do this, and I'm just excited. I've done mock drafts ever since 8th grade because that's when the government gave computers to schools and students. So during math class, I'd fill out a mock draft. But I'm pretty excited for this. So just to break it down, what's going to happen? Yes, algebra wasn't my thing, so I went to the draft, man. But so the display, what's going to happen? We each took an even amount of teams. There's 32 picks. So I have 11 picks. Josh has 11 picks, and Dorton has 10 picks. We're not going to double up on teams. So I'm going to have both Vikings picks. I'm going to have both Las Vegas picks. Dorton's going to have all 3 of Dolphins picks because he's a Dolphins fan. That's probably the reason why he's on the show right now, because they're kind of hard to come by. It's like toilet paper being a Dolphins fan now.
Ain't that true?
But he'll have the Dolphins and Niners multiple picks, and then Josh has both the Jaguars, and then we'll even out the other picks. So we'll go back and forth through the first 32 picks, and we'll see how close we get. But first, let's start the Bethany Vikings Predict the Pick mock draft. Josh is on the clock with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Joe Burrow,
okay.
What else do I need to do? Like it's Joe Burrow. Come on.
Hey, good pick. I very surprised last year. He was a last day prospect, Joe Burrow was projected, and now he's first day, first pick. Big revolution at LSU this year. All right, number 2, Washington is now on the clock, Dorton. Again, we're not doing trades here. That's too hard to predict. I forgot to mention that. So this could be a trade spot. We don't know, but we're not doing trades. So, Dorton, you're picking as the Washington Redskins with the second pick.
Yeah, I'm going with Chase Young from Ohio State. I mean, this guy is arguably the best overall prospect in the draft. 16.5 sacks last year, 6 forced fumbles. The guy is just absolutely amazing. And Washington, who needs help at a lot of different positions, they're really going to love this guy. So I'm going with Chase Young.
We talk about different universities, like your cornerback U is a lot with LSU and Florida State. Well, Ohio State's got to be DN'd with the Bosa's.
Oh, yeah.
Chase Young, another good lineman coming from Ohio State. Now I'm up for the Detroit Lions with the third pick. I have it hovered over him already. Jeff Okudah. Matt Patricia, he's coming from the Patriots. This is his 3rd year. They traded away Darius Slay, cornerbacks, and need, and Jeff Okudah could be like the Stephon Gilmore for the Patriots. Okudah could be that for the Lions. So it fits a need, and I think he's the best player on the board, and he could be one of the dominant cornerbacks in the league for quite a while. Now we're on to the 4th pick, the New York Giants, and Josh is on the clock.
So the Giants, they like to draft best available, but they also sometimes draft for needs, and they do need linemen, but you gotta go Isaiah Simmons here because he's a monster. you could put him wherever you want to, and he's just insane.
So can I ask you guys something, a question for our opinion on something, what you think?
No,
Yeah, sure.
yes, of course.
So a lot of times, Josh, you kind of just mentioned it, like teams will oftentimes get the best player available that's not necessarily at the position of need. What do you guys think is, if you're an NFL team, does it just kind of vary by team? Or if you're a GM, would you much rather go for best available like Isaiah Simmons versus an offensive lineman, which I think the Giants really need help with that too?
I think you got to go best player available. I'm a Patriots fan, and that's what they're known to do. No matter what the position, they just take best available. That's why they took Damian Harris in the 3rd round last year after picking Sony Michel in the 1st round. And I think that's what really worked for the Patriots is you just have to take the best football player available. What do you got, Josh?
It depends. Like Cincinnati, like best player available is probably Chase Young, but you need a quarterback, so you go Burrow. If you're like the top 5 picks, probably like get the best available at your need. And as you go along, probably best available. And I think where you get your needs is free agency. Try and get the guys there, but it really depends. A bunch of teams, it's always different.
I think, the Giants, so that's interesting. Ian Rappaport reported yesterday how the mock drafts that's been coming out, NFL GMs and scouts are telling them they're not even close. So this is I think the prototypical top 4, but this is not to say this might be exactly. In my mock draft, I actually have the Giants making a reach, I think, but I think they might go CeeDee Lamb here.
Really?
Well, the last 2 years, Gettleman, he took Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. You might add another skilled player. And the Giants, who do they have at receiver right now? Sterling Shepard always gets hurt. Golden Tate, veteran. Darius Slayton's probably the best player, but I think CeeDee Lamb's going to be really good. I don't want to – I guess someone might steal him up here now with next pick, but I think that is my alert upset pick, I guess you could say. Maybe look for the Giants to maybe do something that's not expected because that's what Gettleman tends to do. But sure. Isaiah Simmons, I think, is probably the best pick, so I agree with Josh.
I can see a wide receiver to the Giants, but I think that would be a trade back situation then.
Yeah.
Or like
I know there are a bunch of teams who, at least potentially, they want to trade up, and there are teams that could trade up, and then the Giants wouldn't be that far off, and they could get CD or another one of these great wide receivers.
Right.
All right, Dorton, you're the Dolphins fan, and this is the first of 3 picks the Dolphins have. What are you thinking at number 5?
I think the Dolphins go quarterback. Tua, if you're watching this,
let's go.
I don't think this is the official draft hat, but if you're watching this, I will send it to you. You can keep it, wear it. Obviously, you can't meet right now. Tua Tagovailoa, welcome to the Miami Dolphins. This guy, in his seasons that he was playing, extremely accurate. 87 touchdowns, 11 picks. Now, people talk about his injury concerns. Fair. A lot of that comes from leaving the pocket. Some stats for you. In 2017, he only had 27 carries for 133 yards. 2018, 57 carries for 190 yards, 5 touchdowns. And this last season, he cut that all the way down to 23 carries. So I don't know if he's trying to do that intentionally or not, but he's finding out that staying in the pocket is going to lessen his injury. And when he shattered his hip, it's when he left the pocket and had to try and run. So I really want Tua. The Dolphins, I think, really need this guy. Justin Herbert is a solid guy as well, too. But I think Tua has more of a ceiling than I think Justin Herbert does. Herbert might be more NFL ready, but I think Tua might be the better overall prospect. I'm going with Tua.
Do you think they'll have to trade up to get Tua, or do you think there's a good chance he'll follow them at 5?
I can't imagine they would. I think, if anything, the Chargers, that's kind of what I'm the most worried about because they pick 6, that they would trade with the Giants to get ahead of the Dolphins. And then maybe they get Tua. But, if we have to get Justin Herbert too, I like the guy a lot. I really do like Justin Herbert. He's definitely a leader. Could have went to the draft last year, stayed, and had even a better season, and it's showing where he's going to get picked. But I don't see Miami trading up. No.
All right. Talked about the Chargers. They're now on the clock, and that pick is going to Josh now at number 6. Who do you got the Chargers taking, Josh?
Oh, this is so tough. There are.
Well, you're the one that I was supposed to have the Chargers pick, and you're the one that snapped me. Oh, can I take the
Yeah.
Chargers and it's still Panthers? You should know what's going on,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I'm a Chargers fan also. I was born in San Diego. Like we kind of grew up there a little bit, and like whenever we go back, even like my relatives who like don't really know sports, they're always asking. Even though the Chargers they moved out, still Chargers fans, still like to follow them. I'm looking at linemen here because they like fast. The Chargers like fast, physical guys, smart guys, and there are a bunch of good linemen, but I don't know which.
Yeah, none of them have been taken yet. You have.
I know. I'm gonna go because he can move. Or he's played left tackle and right tackle. I'm gonna go Mekhi Becton.
Oh, that guy is a unit.
I know.
6'7", 364 pounds. So why him over the other lineman? Did you hear yesterday came out he had a diluted sample or whatever at the combine? You don't think that will affect his stock?
I mean, he might fall a little bit, and I mean, it's nothing against Wills. It's nothing against Wirfs, even though we're nothing against Thomas and those guys. But Becton, again, I say he played both right tackle, left tackle. They kind of slid him into guard sometimes at Louisville if they needed him to. He's just an athlete, and even if he's not like the most polished guy yet, he doesn't have to be. He's a day one starter. He doesn't have to be left tackle because the Chargers just traded for some guy from the Panthers. I can't remember his name, but Becton
Turner
can come in there.
I think it's like Turner.
Yeah, Turner. Yeah, he can come in there, play whatever tackle they need to, and then as he improves and gets better coaching, then he can slide over to left tackle and just sit there. And I mean, what's his measurables again? He's
6'7", 367. He kind of reminds me of the Patriots' old tackle now, Raider Trent Brown. Just a big guy.
The thing is, Becton ran like a 5'1" 40, and I know like linemen they don't really need to move, but with Becton, like you see it, like he's out in open space, and sometimes you see like linemen they're out there and they're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like he finds a guy, he finds you, hits you, and you're just dead. So
I totally like them going line. In my mock, I had them going O-line because Anthony Lynn, he's on the hot seat right now. And if you get Becton, their offensive line needs help. You get a tackle there. Their defense was really banged up last year. Derwin James out most of the year. And now I think they might go running back in the second round. So just think if they get a tackle and then let's say Jonathan Taylor or J.K. Dobbins in the second round, you got your defense healthy again. Tyrod Taylor, he's never really been around good players before. In Cleveland, they had Jarvis Landry. That's about it. OBJ wasn't there. In Buffalo, he wasn't surrounded. And Anthony Lynn needs to win now. So I agree. I think if they take a quarterback, it's going to be from the owner making them. But if it's up to Anthony Lynn and the GM, I agree that they go tackle here, and they could maybe be a postseason team now.
Yeah, personally, I actually don't think that they go anywhere but quarterback here. I don't think Tyrod Taylor is going to be the guy that's going to keep Anthony Lynn his job. Don't get me wrong, Becton's a heck of a player. I mean, Austin Eckler behind the backfield, I don't think you really need a running back. I mean, Austin Eckler's not that bad.
He's not a three-down guy, though. He's more of a passing
but
guy.
I think you go quarterback here personally. I think this draft is really loaded with offensive linemen, and I think you could probably still get a decent one in the second round. I think you got to go quarterback, and oftentimes a pick is a little overrated, but I have the Chargers getting Herbert in mind.
Herbert, I don't like Herbert.
Really?
He's Mitchell Trubisky again.
Oh no, he's not.
But he's Mitchell Trubisky, but worse because Trubisky just flashed for 1 year. Herbert, and I'm a Pac-12 fan, so I've seen it. He was a day one starter as a true freshman, and he's improved. Yeah, but even as a senior, his final game, he won with his legs. He didn't win with his arm against Auburn. They basically just threw a bunch of screens and stuff because he just was making terrible decisions, and the coaches were like, "We don't trust this guy." And then Auburn was able to key off, and I don't really like Herbert.
All right, we'll stop you on the Herbert talk just now because he hasn't been picked. We'll see where he goes now. I have the Panthers pick at 7 now because Josh wanted to switch. And I think Carolina, they just gave Christian McCaffrey $16 million a year, Teddy Bridgewater $21 million a year. And I think Jedrick Wills is the best O-lineman in this draft. I think that's going to help protect Bridgewater. He's the best run offensive lineman in the running game to help McCaffrey. I have them taking Jedrick Wills, O-lineman, Alabama.
Dang it, Brock.
Wills is so polished. That dude's so good.
And the other thing is, look at the division. Shaq Barrett, number one in sacks last year, led the league. And you got Cameron Jordan. So you need a tackle to slow those pass rushers down as well. So we're now on the number 8 pick with Arizona. I think I took Dorton's player.
Yeah, you did. You did. You
So
took
we're doing
Will.
this live, everyone. We don't know who we're taking. So this is the most how we think this is fun, too, because it's kind of like the draft. It's live. We're going to have to react with the picks.
Personally, I think there's no way that the Cardinals don't go O-line here. I did have them taking Jedrick Wills, but I also had the Giants at 4 taking Tristan Wirfs from Iowa, so I'm just going to slide him down, and I'm going to have Arizona take him. Kyler Murray can run around the pocket, but, mobile quarterbacks typically don't last long, so he's going to need a lot of protection. And now being able to throw to DeAndre Hopkins as well, too, he's going to need all the time he can get to just throw it up there to him. So I think the Cardinals will go with Tristan Wirfs as my second option.
Josh, I know you did a lot of scouting, too, on these players. Do you see Wirfs as a tackle or a guard? Because there's been thoughts he might go to guard.
He's a tackle. He can be. He's athletic enough. Like, he's super athletic and he's super strong. Like, there's a bunch of, weightlifting records he broke at Iowa, weightlifting with the team. His combine was amazing. It's just, sometimes his footwork, and again, I'm not, a professional scout or anything, but I could just see it, and I know common sense. There's sometimes where when he's, moving his feet, they get too narrow, and just have someone – for people back at home, just stand with your legs shoulder width apart, have someone push you, then stand with your feet right next to each other and have someone push you.
Mm-hmm.
The more narrow, you have less balance. And there's sometimes where he just, I don't know, he looks lost in pass protection, but he's such an athlete and he can go and he can learn. I have Becton and I have Wills ahead of him too, because I feel like they're better pass blockers right now.
Okay, now we're on the 9th pick. This is you again, Josh, the Jaguars. One of 2 picks they have in the first round. Justin Herbert's still available. Do they go there, or what do you have?
Now, this is one where maybe they do consider quarterback, but I also think they have needs at better places. So, and getting Derek Brown here would be huge for them. All
right, Derek Brown, the Auburn D tackle, off at the 9th pick. So what do you guys think about his stats, though, in college? He was good against the run. He's probably the best run defender out of a D lineman here. But he only had 4.5 sacks this past year. Do you take a guy – do you like taking a guy at the top 10 in the draft when you know he's probably never going to get double-digit sacks in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's playing D tackle, so typically his main priority is to clog up those running lanes to make it more difficult for that. We saw Ndamukong Suh, especially with the Miami Dolphins, he didn't really get a lot of sacks, but he was clogging up those run lanes and he was making it a lot more difficult now. So I mean, D tackle, I don't really expect to have double-digit, sacks here anyways. If they do, it's an added bonus. But if they're just in there clogging up those running lanes, making it difficult, and putting pressure on those O-linemen, I think it's fine.
Yeah, and Brown, even if he doesn't get to the quarterback, he's just big and strong enough, and he has a good enough get off where he could just push the pocket and make the quarterback uncomfortable. And if anything, if he doesn't get a sack, he can help out his teammates by just eating up double teams.
All right, I'm on the clock now with the Cleveland Browns, and I definitely think this is a place where a trade's going to happen. I think the Browns will trade back here, but again, we're not doing trades in this draft. So this is where it's tough because they've been linked to Ezra Cleveland, tackle from Boise State. They want to move down and draft him. On a lot of people's board, the safest offensive lineman is Andrew Thomas. So it's hard for me because I think they're going to take Cleveland because they're going to trade down. But if they stay at this pick, I think Andrew Thomas is their guy.
Dang it.
So I'm going to take Andrew Thomas at pick 10 for the Browns. I guess I'm
Yeah,
just stealing everyone's picks now. Josh,
yeah.
you're up with the Jets. What do you think? What do you like about Thomas then if you got mad that he went at number 10?
Yeah. Unlike the other lineman who's gone before, he's not as like a super athletic or anything. But he's athletic enough. He's just like the most solid lineman. At the beginning of the year, before the season, he was the top-rated lineman tackle coming out, and he's good. There's just sometimes I'm looking at my notes here. Sometimes you just see him blocking and he just doesn't wow you, but he's just solid overall. So I think he's a safe pick here. It's like a high floor guy.
So I think the Browns would trade out at number 10. Dorton, who do you think would be a suitor? Herbert's still available. If this is the situation, the top 9 picks, who do you think would be the team that would trade with the Browns at 10 to maybe go up and get Herbert?
See, I could potentially see a team like the New Orleans Saints potentially trade up to get him. I personally don't have the Browns trading in my mock draft there. But if a trade were to happen, I could really see the Saints. I mean, Drew Brees, he's at the end of his, he's pretty much going to be done in about a year or two. And it'd be nice to have a quarterback be able to learn under a perennial Hall of Famer, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And, if Herbert's that guy and Saints do trade up to 10, I think you take him.
All right. Now, Josh, like I said, he's on the clock with the 11th pick. I don't think the quarterback's going to go here. So what do you got, Josh?
Gotta go wide receiver. Gotta go the best one in the draft, Jerry Jeudy.
Yep.
You think Jerry Judy's better than CeeDee Lamb?
Mm-hmm.
As a complete wide receiver, yeah, because his routes are just better. Not that CeeDee doesn't run good routes, and like sometimes people say, oh, someone's a good route runner just because they run the routes properly. But the thing is, like, you go watch Jerry Jeudy, he can go run a slant like 6 different ways. It's not because he's inconsistent, but because he's like, oh, if I just take one step here, boom, it's different as opposed to like 2 steps here, boom. And it's just, he's a monster. Not that CeeDee isn't, but just overall, Jeudy is the best. I do love Lamb, though.
I got some good news that just popped up on my screen. Zoom is not going to time me out in 40 minutes. They're extending this.
Good.
So we should be good.
We're safe.
All right. I don't know. Number 12, I am stunned that Justin Herbert – I have the Raiders pick. I'm stunned what to do. They have 2 of the players I think are really high on the board is still available. I think CeeDee Lamb is a Larry Fitzgerald type of player, revolutionary player. I love him. I told you he might go at 4 to the Giants, and I wouldn't think that would be a bad pick. But Justin Herbert's there too, and Gruden might want a quarterback to build around because, he's not one of those coaches that are on the hot seat. He signed that big 10-year deal a few years ago, so he's there. He might want to develop Herbert because he has all the talent in the world like you guys are talking about. But he doesn't really have a receiver to throw to, and I think they need weapons here. And I think they're going to go CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, dang it, Brock.
I guess I'm just taking everyone's pick today.
CeeDee, like, he's kind of like not in the same way where Deebo Samuel, like, he catches just barrels over people. But you just give them the ball. Like, you'd see some of CeeDee's routes, they'd be like a screen or anything or like 5-yard plays. And people think, oh, he's not like a complete wide receiver. I don't think his routes are as polished as Judy's, but it's just because you just give CeeDee the ball and he just goes.
I think Derek Carr would love to see CeeDee Lamb in that room.
Quick fact real quick about CeeDee Lamb. When he was the primary target, he averaged 21.4 yards per catch.
And who did Derek Carr for most of his passes to his tight ends, Darren Waller, that Marno, right? Terrell Williams was their best receiver last year. That's kind of sad. They needed to get a receiver. I could see them maybe taking Herbert and try to get Ruggs or Jefferson with their 19th pick, but I just think CeeDee Lamb is going to be a really good receiver for a long time. So now we have the Niners up at pick 13. Dort, you're still thinking right now?
I think we're good. I'm gonna have to change this all around. That's all right. So I was going to have the 49ers take CeeDee Lamb here at 13. I still think they go wide receiver. Personally, I think then the next available after that is Henry Ruggs III. So I think San Francisco goes Ruggs here. Reliable hands. He ran blazing fast speed, 4.27 40-yard dash. A comp for him, definitely Tyreek Hill. A talented special teams player, but he also can catch too. 24 touchdowns, 1,716 yards in his career at Alabama. I mean, this guy he's the real deal. And I think anytime you can have a guy who's comparable to Tyreek Hill as far as speed goes, that's big time. So I think the 49ers, I will be drafting Henry Ruggs III, wide receiver, Alabama.
I like to get Josh input on Ruggs, but my take, he kind of scares me a little bit. I've read he's not that as strong lower body as Tyreek Hill, and he gets banged up a lot. You taking him this early, I feel like you think he's going to be a Deshaun Jackson type guy, very fast, or Brandon Cooks. I think that's more of a comparison than Tyreek Hill, but the speed plays, I totally agree, Dorton. What do you got on Ruggs, Josh?
If you look at a lot of his plays at Alabama, they would put him in motion or they'd send him deep. And I think with the 49ers too, this is just a great fit. You have Debo just running whatever routes you need to. You have the other guys. You have Kittle. You have the bajillion running backs they have. And so you just send Ruggs deep. Just say, just run a go, and you're fine. Or you can have him in motion, give him like a fly sweep or something. Like the injury concerns, the banged up. I mean, in the 49ers offense, he wouldn't be like the number one option, so he'd be fine. And as imagine him as a returner too, if he wanted to. Just scary.
Unbelievable.
That speed between Ruggs and Samuel, and then that power run game, that'd be definitely scary to play against. So now we're on the 14th pick, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you got, Josh?
Man, I would have loved to see Thomas fall to them, but then you had to take him. Maybe I'm thinking maybe they take a lineman, just to protect Brady and stuff. But I think
do you think they take Herbert? Does that cross your mind at all with Brady?
No.
Probably only 2 years. Okay.
No. I mean, but really winning in the trenches is good too. So I took Derek Brown earlier, so you got to take Javon Kinlaw.
Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. I read that he grew up like living in a car. Do you know that story?
Yeah. He was like homeless at one point and everything. He just hard work and dedication, man. He just came out and he's like solid overall. There's like sometimes like his pass rush is sometimes the run is but overall he's just really good. And the thing is, like, he's 324. Derek Brown's like 326. Brown kind of looks a little bit bigger. And if you look at Kinlaw, he doesn't really look 324. He looks like he'd be like 290. He carries it well. And he's a good athlete too. So
yeah, he's definitely gonna be a good player if he goes to the Buccaneers. That'd be nice because they need him and Vita Vea in the trenches, like you said. That's gonna be tough to run against right there.
Yeah.
All right, Dorton, you're from a Dolphins fan, but you live in Colorado, so you might have some insight on Denver than most people. You're up now with the 15th pick with the Broncos.
So initially I had the Broncos going with Henry Ruggs III, but thank you, since you took CeeDee Lamb, I had to now slot him up. So I'll have to slot up another wide receiver. And I think Broncos will be going with – so in real life, yeah, I had Ruggs, but I think they go T. Higgins here.
Over Justin Jefferson.
I think they go T. Higgins. 2,448 yards, 27 touchdowns. That's tied for the most in school history with DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins. Long frame, 6'4". Also, soft hands. This stat I found was really interesting. He scored a touchdown on 20% of his catches. So on 20% of his catches, he's gonna be scoring there.
So did Love or Herbert ever cross your mind with the Broncos? I know they got locked, but
no, not at all.
This is crazy. This is very interesting that not only is Love still available at pick 16 in the first half, or now we're getting to the back half of this draft, but so is Jordan Love and Herbert, both available. What do you got on Higgins, Josh? Are you surprised that he took him over Justin Jefferson?
I have Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, Denzel Mims ahead of Higgins. But
Really?
I'm not mad at this pick because, I mean, I think they're all really good. They all bring something different to the table. I think Higgins is a great player, but I think they already have Oh man, now I'm blanking on his name. They have a tall wide receiver there.
Cortland Sutton?
Yeah, they have Sutton there, and he's good as a deep, big guy. And I think maybe Jefferson there. Brandon Ayuk in another draft where it wasn't so loaded with wide receivers, Ayuk would be talked about as a top of half first round pick because the dude just great route runner, just solid overall, just a baller. Denzel Mims is also really, really good. But again, I can't really fault you for this pick, Lucas. Like you just pick a wide receiver. They're all really good.
Yeah.
This is such a deep wide receiver class.
And we took 4. No receiver went in the top 10, but now 4 of the last 5 picks after the 10th pick have been receivers. I'm now up with the Falcons, and I think they got to love what just happened there. They just got Desmond Trufant just went in free agency and signed with the Lions. They're already struggling in their secondary. They need the help. And C.J. Henderson is still available. I think it's Jeffrey Okudah all by himself up top, and then it's C.J. Henderson below him, and then it drops a lot, and then you can just take your pick after that. But I think it's a clear cut, Okudah, then Henderson, then everyone else. So I think the Falcons take C.J. Henderson with the 16th pick.
Lucas, you know him. You're a Florida fan.
Yeah. What do you got about Henderson, Dort?
Yeah, no, Henderson, he's not a guy – he doesn't get a lot of picks. He can pick the ball off. But a guy that plays really physical, he's going to get in there and he's going to make plays, especially for the Atlanta Falcons. I've always said that the defensive line always makes corners look really good, and I think that's still the case. With Tack McKinley there, getting to the quarterback, that's going to help out C.J. Henderson a lot more. Not that he needs it because he's already very good. But I agree. I think he's the second best corner in this draft, and after that, it's a huge drop-off. But C.J. Henderson is a beast, and if the Falcons do draft him, they're not going to regret that pick at all.
All right, Dorton, you're up now with the Dallas Cowboys at pick 17. We're halfway done with this Bethany mock draft.
So at 17, the Dallas Cowboys are picking. They just lost Byron Jones to my Miami Dolphins in free agency. Thank you very much for that. So I think they go secondary here. I think they go with Xavier McKinney, safety from Alabama. This guy is a phenomenal player, and, D-backs, especially from Alabama, tend to have some success. Probably the most recent one being Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's been really solid in the NFL so far. But Xavier McKinney, I think the Cowboys have to get something in the secondary here, and McKinney's I think he's going to be that guy for Dallas.
Yeah, I like McKinney here, even though maybe he's not – I think of him more as like a strong safety type. Like he can cover. Sure. Like if he stays deep enough and everything's in front of him, he can make plays there. But like if he has to match up on guys one-on-one besides tight ends, like he can jam tight ends, he can kind of get lost. And there were some plays where he'd be one-on-one and someone just throw a jump ball and he just like would time it horribly. But I think they've got good enough players up front where they can help him out there.
Absolutely.
All right, now the Dolphins are on the clock. Dorton, you're up again with the Miami Dolphins, your second selection.
Yeah, so Dolphins at 18 here. I think they go offensive line. I have them going with Austin Jackson from USC.
Dang it.
6'5", 322. Some things that I read about him, they really emphasize his athleticism. He's really nimble on his feet. He can move quick. He can contort his body in ways to really get to defenders. And a fun fact, too, he also, in his career at USC, blocked 2 kicks. He is extremely solid. And so I am going with Austin Jackson from USC.
I'm glad you're back. I think we lost you for a second, but you're right there.
Yeah, I think I cut out for a sec there.
That's all right. I think that's a good pick with drafting Tua. You need to protect him. Tua's been hurt a lot at Bama, so I think that's good to double up on offense to protect Tua there, especially since you traded away Laramie Tunsil.
Yep.
All right, I'm on the clock now with the Raiders, their second pick, and they're got to be loving it. They get CeeDee Lamb at 12, and Herbert's still there. I don't think they passed on Herbert now that he's still somehow there at 19. So Justin Herbert going to the Raiders. Herbert and Lamb, 2 picks. I think that could be a good connection if this is what actually happens.
I like that pick. I actually, in my initial mock draft that I did, I had the Raiders taking a quarterback at 19. I thought Herbert was off the board. I changed that by now, but if he's there at 19, I think you got to snag him.
Clearly, the top three is Tua, and then Burrow number one, Tua, and then Herbert. Because Jordan Love's still available. You don't know. He's so risky, but the risk and reward goes hand in hand. He could be a nobody and not even start a game for the NFL because I don't think he's going to be a day one starter. So you'll see how he could adapt. Or he could be like a Brett Favre. He's a gunslinger. He has no ills of throwing it in coverage.
Right.
So I think he's got the arm talent to do it. He's still available. Is he going to be the 20th pick to the Jaguars, Josh, or who do you got at 20?
Man, I thought Henderson. I knew Henderson was good, but I was hoping he'd fall a little bit. Looking at it, they're rebuilding. They just need pieces. Can you click all? Yeah, thank you. I think taking best available. Looking at their needs, really, like they need D-line, they need edge rusher, they need help. They just need help. But I think you go Chase on here because this dude has the tools.
So doubling up on D-line. So I'm guessing they have two players that could be traded too on draft day. You got to watch for players. They have Leonard Fournette now that might be dealt, and then their other D-line. How do you say his name? Ngakwe, yeah. Ngakwe.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm losing him, so you need a pass rusher. So, and I think Chase on, he has all the tools. There's sometimes he's just a little bit small sometimes, and he kind of gets eaten up. But like it's not like he doesn't try it. You watch especially against Alabama, he's just all over the field. Even if he's like out of the play, he's still trying to hustle to get back. And like skill wise, he has it. He's a little bit raw, but you can coach that up.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a really good edge rusher. I had him personally in my mock at 16 to the Falcons, but
I did too, Brock. I had him at 16 as well.
Yeah, but I had the 16th pick in this, and I was going to take him, but I don't know how C.J. Henderson fell to 16, so I had to take him at 16. But now we're on the 21st pick, Philadelphia Eagles. That is Dorton's pick. Who do you got at 21?
I initially had T. Higgins, so I had Philadelphia getting him. Obviously, that is no longer the case. I still think they go wide receiver, and I think they go with Justin Jefferson from LSU here. The guy last season tied the FBS for 111 catches, 1,540 yards, 13.9 yards per catch, and he also finished the season second in the nation for touchdowns with 18. So this guy, he knows what he's doing. He's going to put his body in a position to make big plays. And regardless of what wide receiver in real life who is actually available, I think Philly's going to get the next best one. It was shocking that Philly made the playoffs last year with a lack of weapons, with injuries and stuff. But I think this is an absolute focus that they have to get in the draft, and it's got to be a wide receiver.
Yeah, I actually have Justin Jefferson at 21 in my mock draft. I totally agree. He's a big receiver, gives Wentz a big target. They had Greg Ward, Joshua Perkins, Nelson Aguilar as their top options going in the playoffs. That's pretty brutal. And I think Justin Jefferson can catch the ball over the middle. He's not afraid to get hit. And then he's a big body receiver that can go up and make contested catches. So I think that is a good pick. All right, the Vikings are now on the clock. I'm sure this is most of you listeners are Vikings fans. I work for the Vikings. I freelance camera work for them. My family's big Viking fans. So I followed them my whole life. Knowing Spielman here, now with all those receivers gone and the lack of him being successful drafting receivers in the first round, you think of Cordero Patterson, not very good. Laquan Treadwell is gone now. Didn't turn out that well as a receiver. I don't think they go receiver now, even though they traded Diggs away, because the value is just not there. And I think you got to look at corner or offensive line. And I think they got to go offensive line here. And Joshua Jones, he's a little bit raw, but his upside is immense. And I think that's where they're going to go. Joshua Jones, watching that game against the Packers, Monday Night Football, division on the line. The offensive line did not show up at all. That's just embarrassing, right, watching the Vikings that night. I think they have to go O-line, and Joshua Jones has a lot of potential.
I want him to fall. I like that pick. Like, at this point in the draft, he's good. Like, he's improved his pass pro every single year. And he's a good natural athlete overall. He's like a little bit raw, and he played at Houston. He didn't really play against anybody, but he still played really good.
All right, I'm a Patriots fan. They are now on the clock. And Dorton asked earlier in this draft, what is your philosophy? Do you take the best player available or do you take need? And I told you I take best player available because that's what the Patriots do. And right here at this pick again, I think they're going to trade out. They made the most trades during the draft since Belichick's been in New England. So I don't think they make a pick here. But since, again, there's no trades, Kenneth Murray, he brings all the intangibles, very smart. He could pick up Bill Belichick's defense. We lost Jamie Collins and Kyle Van Noy, so we lost some linebackers. I think with the best player available, fits in need, and he's smart, I'm going to go with Kenneth Murray going to my Patriots.
That guy's a beast. I don't have him going there, but that guy is a beast. Brock, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What are the chances, Patriots, if they keep this pick, what are the chances that they go quarterback potentially? Or are they really set on Stidham?
I think they like Stidham a lot. He's very smart. And you got to think Belichick, he probably still wants to win right away right now. Getting a quarterback with the COVID-19, you don't know how much they can have a training camp. I think they're going to stay away from a first rounder. He's taking a quarterback. I think if they get a quarterback, they're going to trade up to 10 or and get Herbert or Tua. I don't think they want to take a project like Jordan Love. And Bill Belichick's come out in press conference and says he likes this quarterback class. He thinks it's very deep. So I hope they can get Jake Fromm on one of their third-round picks. That's where I think they're going to take a quarterback in the third round. Maybe Jacob Eason. Josh, you live in Washington. You're a big Huskies fan. I'm kind of curious, what do you think about Jacob Eason?
He has some character problems. He like kind of was a partier at Georgia. Not saying like he's a bad guy, but I don't think he took it as seriously. And he came to Washington, he redshirted, and then he still came in, and it didn't look like he had a grasp on the offense all the time. And also, our offensive coordinator was straight garbage. But still, there were sometimes where Eason just – and nothing to do with Eason where it'd be like a 5-yard pass, and he's still zipping the ball in there, and the receivers would drop it because he's just throwing it too hard. Like
quarterback.
He just doesn't have touch. I don't know if – he has some problems. I think he's second, third-round guy.
All right. Well, Love, like Dorton said, still available.
Love. Jordan Love goes to the Saints. This is where he goes.
Okay.
People compare him to Mahomes. He's not as polished as Mahomes was coming out. Not even close. There were some decision makings that were just very strange, but he's a smart dude. And again, he lost a lot of players as a new coordinator coming in this last year. If you look at the year before, he was really good. And then two years ago, they went into Michigan State, and he didn't throw a touchdown, but he looked in control up there against Michigan State. Have him come. He's a smart dude, intelligent dude. You just let him sit, let him learn behind Breeze, and maybe a year, 2 years, have him polish up. Because he's got the tools. His interceptions, if you go back and look at them, it was just a lot of, like, trying to make plays because Utah State was a bad team. He was just trying to chuck it all over the place, and that's what his interceptions were. So let him go there, let him learn, and there you go.
All right. Dorton, you have anything on Love? Quarterbacks, a lot of people care about that, so that's a hot topic. Where do you think Love goes in the draft? Do you think he'll fall this far? And what would your comparison? I don't think you can compare anyone to Patrick Mahomes, really. I think.
Yeah. I'm actually not really high on Jordan Love at all. Personally, I don't think he gets drafted in the first round.
Oh, really?
I think comparing him to Patrick Mahomes is extremely generous. I think he potentially, if he's in the right system, that he could be coached up to be a solid player. Personally, I don't think he's going to be if he's drafted in the first round, I'm not sure he's going to live up to that first round, I guess, stigma around him.
I think
If
this
you
is
were
a
to get
good.
drafted there, personally, yeah, I'm not extremely high on Jordan Love.
I think if I think just for himself. I know you as a player you want to be drafted high, but
Right.
he would do a lot better if he got drafted late by the Saints or even the Patriots or the Packers, just because he's
Sure.
not going to have to start right away. He has good quarterbacks to learn under, or Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick, good coaching to learn under. I think that's a good situation for him. So I'd kind of, if I could ask Jordan Love, I'd honestly want his opinion where he would want to go high and be in a bad situation, or get picked low and not start right away. But then when Breeze or one of these quarterbacks retire, if the Colts trade back up and get him, he could learn under Rivers. What would he rather want?
Yeah. And Lucas, I agree with you where in part where his bust, he's the definition of boomer bust. His bust is look at his stats, like a bajillion interceptions this last year. But his boom, if you can harness that, and I think the reason why I went so quick here is because he can learn behind Drew Brees and Sean Payton. And that's a nice offense. Sit there and learn and harness that, then sky's the limit for this dude.
Yeah, the right system is really what it's all about for a lot of these players. And if he's on a team like New Orleans, you can't go wrong with that.
All right. I'm making the Vikings picks. I took Joshua Jones with the 22nd pick to help him with the offensive line. Now, Mackenzie Alexander, gone. Xavier Rhodes, gone. Trey Waynes, gone. And what Spielman's done in the past, he loves taking cornerbacks in the first round. And I think one of their corners that are high on their list is still available, Jalen Johnson. Why I think he fits for them is he's got all the intangibles. He's 6 foot, good size. What he really lacks is technique a little bit. And I think Zimmer can fix that because he has all the tools needed. He just needs a little bit more knowledge to how to play the cornerback position. I think Zimmer could really help him with that. And it fits a very huge hole the Vikings have with all those corners leaving in free agency. All right, we're on pick 26 now. The Miami Dolphins, their third and final pick of this round. Dorton, you're up again.
Now, this pick of the three that the Dolphins have, this one to me is the most difficult because I think they could go a number of different ways. I could see them going offensive line. I could see them going running back. I could see them going secondary help. I think offensive line maybe could be addressed in a different round. And with how extremely deep, again, this running back class is, there's probably about 5 or 6 guys that may not go in the first round. Obviously, I don't know where, in our draft, who knows. But I think it's just so deep at the running back class that they can wait and get one in the second round. So I have the Dolphins going with Antoine Winfield Jr., the safety from Minnesota. I think really that will lock up our secondary. We have arguably, in my opinion, probably now the best corners in the league in Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. And with Rashad Jones leaving in the offseason, I think you throw a guy like Antoine Winfield in there. I absolutely love this guy. 9 career interceptions. Obviously, his dad played in the NFL and was pretty successful. First team All-American, high instincts. He's got natural ball tracking ability. And one thing that I had written down in all caps and underlined was playmaker. He is always looking to create turnovers. He's always looking to create those big plays that really get talked about, those ESPN SportsCenter top 10 plays. So if we're able to get him, throw him in that secondary along with Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, it's going to be a tough defense to throw against if the Miami Dolphins are out there. I love Winfield. I'm a huge fan of this guy. And I think his potential is absolutely through the roof because I think he's an absolute beast. I love Winfield.
That guy is a baller. He's just – I especially like the Penn State game. You just watch that. He's just making plays all over. He's small, and like that kind of has contributed to his injury issues. But I mean, he's going to make plays for you.
Absolutely, I would love if we got him. I don't know if he'll go first round. I think if he is in the second round, I can maybe see the Dolphins getting him there too. But I think he's first round talent for sure.
All right, Josh, you're from Washington, big Seahawks fan. Who do you got at pick 27 going to your Hawks?
I would have loved in this mock draft to see Jackson or Jones, one of those two linemen, fall here. I think they could in real life they could because of trades and stuff and whatever. But then second need is pass rush because if you look at a lot of our losses and even in our wins, the reason we were so close in all of our games is because if you look at the quarterback, they'd have like 10,000 years to throw the ball, even with Clowney, but like they just triple team Clowney. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And Clowney might not probably isn't coming back because we keep trying to give him $13 million a year. And I'd like to go with one player, but I'm going to draft with how the Seahawks like to draft. They like physical freaks. And I mean, if you look back at some of their previous drafts in the first round, they've kind of drafted for need with line and everything. But they're like physical freaks, guys who are kind of out of the box. I wouldn't like it if they drafted this guy, but I'm going to go, I don't know how to say his name, Yatir Gross Matos.
That's why I've
I'm
taken
getting
in
him
my
too.
mind.
Yeah. I don't like him because there's just plays where you watch him and he's like he's in, like when he pops off, it's like, whoa, this is why this guy's in the first. And then you watch other plays where it's like he gets blocked, and as soon as he's blocked, he's just done. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, do things.
Kinda
Not
gives
saying he
up on
doesn't
the
lack
play.
effort, but it's kind of just like as soon as he's locked up, it's like that's kind of it. He gets stuck. He's super raw. And it's not like raw that you can mold. It's kind of like, man, sometimes he's rushing, and then he kind of like gets stuck because either the guy gets his hands on him and just blocks, or it's like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. He doesn't have a play when he's rushing, but that's kind of the player the Seahawks like to get. And I mean, we could do something with him.
It makes sense that you're not liking the Seahawks first round picks because I was surprised you didn't take like a Anthony McFarland or a running back in the first round that's not on anyone's boards like you've done in the past.
Yeah, we got
It's
running
like
backs in there's a bajillion running backs all over. And I mean, we drafted Penny in the first round, and I was kind of upset. I liked Penny coming out, but then turns out that some teams wanted to trade for him. And he was doing good before the stupid LA turf caught up his knee and ripped it up, and he tore his ACL. But yeah,
All right.
there's another. I won't mention this other. Maybe if he doesn't get drafted, I'll talk about him. Or when he gets drafted, there is another player. If he does fall, I'd rather have the Seahawks get.
All right. Now, Lamar Jackson's Baltimore Ravens are on the clock. Dorton, where do you see them going here at pick 28?
I think they go defense. Offensively, they're extremely set. They don't really need any help on that end. So I have Baltimore, and this is a guy that I feel could go late first round, early second round. But I have Baltimore getting him here. Zach Bond from Wisconsin.
Ooh, yeah.
Guy has 173 tackles in his career, 12 and a half sacks. In his senior year, he had 19 and a half tackles for loss, which is huge. This guy's explosive, quick hands, and sometimes with linebackers they're a little slow, kind of get stuck in the mud a little bit. This guy has speed. They say he has speed to cover running backs, tight ends, really physical guy. And that really fits in with Baltimore, right? You know, Baltimore is always thought about as just a physical team. Defensively, you know, obviously with the history of guys that they've had to play for them, Ray Lewis being the most prominent of physical play, Zach Bond, I think, definitely would be that guy for Baltimore. So I have them getting the linebacker from Wisconsin there.
Insight there, Dort. Now with the 29th pick, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock, and that's my pick. Their front office is former Patriots front office. So, again, I think they're going to take the best player available. They need a cornerback. I think Jeff Gladney could be a really good fit for him. He's a really scrappy, hard-nosed player that could fit a Mike Vrabel defense. And he's one of the best players available at this spot, and it fits a need too. I think the Titans go Jeff Gladney at pick 29. All right, Josh, you're now up with the Green Bay Packers at pick 30.
I wanted Bond to come here. That would have been a great fit because, yeah, just looking at Bond and how his play style, like with the Packers too, just what they like to do, and their linebackers were acceptable, but like a C+ is acceptable. You don't want acceptable. And you kind of saw it against the 49ers. The 49ers ran for like 186 yards before contact. Yeah, that's the defense line too, but that's also the linebackers. Like, where are you guys coming to make plays? But I am thrilled because if we go to the linebackers, there is another dude right there. Yep, good old Patrick Queen. I like him. he's a little bit raw. He didn't even like start the year. He like started game 4, but after that he just skyrocketed. He's kind of small. You can see his measurables here, but just a guy that runs around and makes tackles. And if you don't want a team to run on you, you can take him. And I think he's good enough too, where he can be a coverage, and I think that's a good fit there.
Yeah, and they lost Blake Martinez, who was their number 1 tackler. He's gone, so that definitely fits a need. And I'm surprised Queen fell this much, to be quite honest. But that'd be a good pick for the Packers, sadly.
I personally think Packers go wide receiver here. I think they go LaVisca.
I can see them do that too, but
Devontae Adams was their only guy last year, and if that guy's covered, he didn't really have anyone else to throw to. I mean, Valdez-Scantling is okay, but he ain't the best one out there. And I think you give Rodgers another target, another offensive threat. He's getting towards the end of his career, so he's going to need all the help he can get there.
yeah, I was considering wide receiver too. But then I'm just looking at the depth of the wide receivers. Like you can get a guy even in like the 3rd, 4th round who will help you.
Sure.
But there's just like, look, there's so many names still. Just bang, 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 bang. There's so many that are great players. So
yeah.
But again, like if they want to, I could see them taking wide receiver. But I'll go linebacker because I think that's much more of a need. And also Queen falling that far, that's just a great fit for them.
All right, Dorton, you have the Niners picks in this draft. Who do you got here with the 31st pick for the Niners? You took Henry Ruggs with your first pick at pick, was it 13? Yeah, pick 13.
Yep, 13. This is a pick I could potentially see the 49ers trading. I think maybe 13. I think they're more locked into that one, but I could potentially see them trading away this one and then, get another pick in the 2nd round or whatever it may be. But obviously we're not doing trades. So San Francisco, I have them going corner. I have them going with Trevon Diggs from Alabama. 4 interceptions his career. He's got phenomenal foot agility. Obviously was a wide receiver, so he has wide receiver instinct. Very opportunistic too. The comparison that I had for him was Aqib Talib. Obviously not now, but when Talib was actually good. That would be my comp. Now this is a question for either of you guys. I guess you can both take it. I think we can agree that the Vikings need corner play. Do you think that the way things ended with Stephon Diggs, which is Trevon's brother, would be enough for the Vikings to say, no, we're not drafting Trevon? Or do you think they maybe put that aside, and if he's there, they go for him?
I think it's hard, to be honest, to draft him. You don't like comparing brothers together, but I think that's just not even in sports, just in real life. If you're a teacher and you had a student that was a really disruptive and a bad kid, and then later on you have his little brother, you're going to have that in the back of your mind, like, oh, this guy's a troublemaker. We're all human, so it's definitely in the back of your head.
Sure. What do you think, Josh?
Personally for me, if the Vikings think like that, you're dumb. Just get the guy, and then if he has problems with you, then you can go trade him or whatever, but just take the guy, and then if he has problems with you, then you work it out internally. But I don't think he'd be a problem. I think he's just like, hey, I'm in the NFL. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, final pick of this Bethany Predict the Pick mock draft. The Chiefs, the player they want the most is Patrick Queen, and I was surprised he almost fell to them, but he got taken. I think they probably trade out of this spot. Did you see that they have like $151 of salary cap space right now?
Yeah, it's a great time. I mean, you're Super Bowl champs. Do whatever. You can work with it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think they want to go corner. They need a corner because Fuller left. But who's available that they would like? I kind of like receiver. They're all pretty decent through this Auburn Noah Egbegohini. I don't know how to say his last name. But those 5, do they take one of those 5, or do they think one of them could fall in the 2nd round? I'm going to go somewhere kind of surprising and add to already a lethal offense. I'm going to have them take DeAndre Swift, pick 32. Kareem Hunt, obviously, was really good for the Chiefs, but then he chose to kick a girl. And when bad things happen, I'm glad the Chiefs got rid of him, and he has to suffer and go to Cleveland, which works out pretty good for
Yeah.
But no, they need a running back with Damian Williams. He did decent in the Super Bowl, but DeAndre Swift, I think he's the clear number one running back in this draft, and I think that would just even more make this offense more lethal.
I like that because if you're just looking, just add another weapon. Even though I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on like I think he's gonna be good, but I don't think he's as good as people think. 'Cause when he first starts out, he's kind of like Le'Veon Bell. He's patient, finds the hole, goes. But as soon as he goes into the open field, it's so strange. It's like he suddenly just loses all awareness, and like he forgets angles and stuff, and like he's running and the tackler's coming at him and he doesn't move. And then other times where he meets that first contact and he kind of falls. But I think he's just talented enough. Yeah, you just put him on the Chiefs. I think fit-wise, this is a great fit, even if I don't have him maybe as the top running back.
And he's coming from running back you. Yeah, you go ahead, Dort.
Yeah, no, I was going to say especially we all know how much Mahomes loves to throw the ball. DeAndre Swift, as far as receiving backs go, probably the best one available right now. So probably have a lot of opportunities to make plays like that too. So this would be a phenomenal fit for the Chiefs if they snag him here.
And coming from running back you, Chubb and Todd Gurley, Sony Michel from the past. And honestly, if you want to take it from a fantasy perspective, this can't be a better place for Swift to go in fantasy.
Yeah, I agree.
So this mock draft, we're just doing the first round. I appreciate Dort and Josh coming along for the ride, and I think this draft looks pretty interesting. Like I said, Ian Rappaport reported the way these mock drafts coming out aren't going to be anywhere close to it. I think our draft is kind of unique because you see Justin Herbert fall to pick 19. Look at the four receivers. That's what jumps to my mind right here for 10 to 15. 4 of those 5 picks are receivers. What were your guys' takeaways of this mock draft and how it fell? We'll start with you, Dorton.
Well, Brock, you stole my pick a couple times, and the second time it proved to be really deadly because then it pretty much made me shift every wide receiver that I have drafted up a spot to where I think a wide receiver should be drafted for a team. So I had to do that. But outside of that, really, it was all my picks kind of fell to where I wanted them to, besides the wide receivers. Jedrick Wills, obviously, you took him, so I had to go another route for Arizona there. But nonetheless, I'm pretty pleased with how things went for me.
Josh, what were your takeaways?
Yeah. You talked about the wide receiver run we had there, and you kind of see that in drafts where there's a run on a position. We kind of had that too with linemen. And then people always talk about, and I think too, that this wide receiver class is so deep.
Oh, yeah.
But then there are but the teams who draft the wide receivers, they do need them, and that's also just a good place to get them. And I think if you do go like into the later rounds, you could get like a guy who's good, but who won't be as good as these guys we drafted here. So I think that's interesting. The linemen too. It's so interesting with the linemen. They could, again, depending on trades and stuff, they could fall. Like I mentioned, Josh Jones and Austin Jackson, those guys might fall. Like I could see them falling to the second round. You mentioned Ezra Cleveland is being talked to the Browns, but some people have him as a 4th round pick. It's all over the place with him. He has first round talent, but he's pretty raw sometimes.
He did not get drafted in this, yeah.
Yeah. And my interesting one is AJ Epinesa.
Yeah.
I like him going to the Cowboys because you put him on the other, he's more of a power rusher, which isn't a bad thing. He's just strong. But you put him on the other side of DeMarcus Lawrence, and they just go after it there. I could see him fit there. I could see a bunch of other teams. I would like the Seahawks to get him, but he's not explosive enough where he's not the high-end athlete. But I think he's way better than Gross Matos, even though I think the Seahawks will pick the guy who looks more athletic and better, but I don't know.
All right,
and also,
last one.
With Herbert, I hate Herbert, so he can fall. He can fall to the undrafted.
So you can see him fall. I don't think he's going to fall that far, but
yeah.
All right,
but sorry, I think he's a little bit like Jordan Love. If he gets in the right situation and learns, fine. But
all right, 2 quick questions I want each of you to answer. It involves around quarterback. First, who is the best quarterback in this draft class, and what quarterback that wasn't taken in this first round do you think has the best chance of carving out a good NFL career? I'll start with you, Dort.
Best one? I mean, we had Joe Burrow going number 1. So as far as that goes, Joe Burrow,
Doesn't matter where they're drafted. Do you think Burrow's going to be better than Tua? Do you think he's hands down going to be the best
Yeah.
quarterback?
I don't. I think Joe Burrow is going to be a lot like 2018 Joe Burrow, where he was solid, but he ain't going to be throwing for no 60 touchdowns and well over 5,000 yards. I'm a little biased, obviously, in saying this, but I think Tua is the best quarterback in this draft. I think, yes, the injuries could be a concern, but I think his potential is absolutely through the roof.
All right, last question, quick. Who's the best quarterback now that wasn't taken? Who's going to be the best day 2 or day 3 quarterback?
It's either between Jake Fromm or Jalen Hurts. At the end of the day, I might go with Jake Fromm. I think he's the most NFL ready out of most any of these quarterbacks. But don't sleep on Hurts either.
All right, Josh. Try to go a little quicker than Dorton here. We're over an hour already.
Tua's got the higher upside, and I like Tua. Honestly, if he was healthy, he might go number 1. I just like Burrow's such a gamer though, and his only negative is his arm slightly, but whatever. He has everything else. But I agree with Lucas. But I think Burrow will be a little better than what Lucas thinks, but I say Tua has the higher upside. He's going to be like a 10-year starter, just solid.
Yeah.
He's just solid all around. He doesn't have anything that pops, but he's just so smart and he's tough. I'll pick him. Hurts. I like Hurts to the Chargers in the second round where he can sit and learn. That's why I didn't take a quarterback with the Chargers.
Okay. All right, I got Joe Burrow. I think he's Hall of Famer. Yeah, I'll say it. He's the most accurate quarterback I've seen. You watched him in the college football playoffs. You couldn't drop the ball in any better if you're just right over the receiver. Just accuracy, subpar. And I agree. I think Jake Fromm's the best day 2, day 3 quarterback. He went and played at Georgia, obviously, and Justin Fields had to leave because of Jake Fromm. And you know how good Fields is. And I just think the system he was in doesn't do him justice. He had Sony Michel, DeAndre Swift, and Nick Chubb with him. It was a running team. I think if he had more of a Joe Burrow type offense that the LSU turned to in his Joe Burrow's final year, if Fromm came back a senior year and they tailored it more towards him instead of the running back, he would have a lot better college career and he'd be drafted higher. So I'm going to take Fromm as my day 2, day 3 quarterback to watch out for. I appreciate it again, Josh and Lucas, for joining the show. And remember, there's still the second round of Bethany initials that will be coming out Wednesday, so come back. But we appreciate you joining this special episode of the Bethany Live Mock Draft.